If you haven't watched the previous parts, go watch them right now. The links are pinned in the comments and in the description.
In the previous episode of growing food at home saved his life when everyone else starved, we noticed his purple glowing hand, purple light. Could it be that this purple light turned the coffee table into this, even the toolbox and these scattered things? Indeed, it was as he said. Everything that had a direct contact with his hand faced the same outcome as his coffee table. Han Feng picked up the hammer in the toolbox, but soon found out that the hammer was flexible and bending like a lightweight rubber. In simple words, this purple light can make objects soft. Han Feng wondered in amazement, but he immediately remembered that he wasn't alone in his apartment. Yes, exactly. Oh, he had a visitor. He completely forgot. Someone else is at home. He thought anxiously as he began sweating heavily and turned his head to face the female. In contrast, the girl, as usual, remained silent during the entire scene. What she had just seen left her speechless and bewildered. That's right, he had a guest. Oops, I forgot there's someone else at home. Turning his head to face the girl, he thought nervously as he began to sweat bullets. On the other hand, the girl watched the entire scene without uttering a word like she always does. She was confused and speechless about what she just witnessed. The girl continued to simply stare at him for a considerable amount of time, silent and expressionless. Then, suddenly, she got up with her laptop in hand, her eyes sparkling with excitement and wonder. Is he also the messenger chosen by the evil king's true eye? And he was dumbfounded with her sudden behavior. He quickly got his act together, improvised by striking a pose.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
With his jelly-like hammer in one hand and the other on his face, the girl had already reached the door to the other room behind Han Feng and accompanied with a loud thud by the shutting door. His eyes widened when he realized that the girl had already left and was inside the other room behind him. Hey, I haven't agreed yet. Do you really think this is the evil Kingslayer? He said. Oh, forget it, and he decided to let her be. His immediate priority was his purple glowing hand a while ago. So as he stares at the jelly-like hammer in his hand, he wondered silently. What was that purple light just now? Can it make things softer? It seems that I have more than those 2 kinds of light, but if there are others just like this purple light that I hadn't discovered, then I wonder just how many there are. Han Feng closed his eyes and tried to summon his purple glowing hand, but nothing. He then began to recall, trying to analyze the situation that led to that outcome. The purple light appeared when I was tripped by the wire and about to hit the coffee table. Recalling all this gave Han Feng an idea, so as he held onto the wires, Han Feng tried to remember the feeling he had at that time. The feeling of being in a dangerous situation. And just like that, he was stunned to see his hands glowing with purple light. It's out. It actually worked. Just recalling the dangerous situation just now, the purple light appeared. Hangfeng said this a little taken aback. At that moment, something else also got his attention. Wait, does this purple light also have an effect on wires? That's right. In his hand, the wires had also turned into a jelly-like substance. With this new development.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
He knew that the purple light might have a large range of things it can affect. So, he immediately heads to his kitchen, deciding to try it on something else, and grabbed a large kitchen knife, closed his eyes and prepared himself to summon the purple light. Seconds after, he succeeded in his summoning, and the purple light immediately took effect, softening the knife. Whoa, it works on steel too, and the texture is like jelly. He commented in amazement. So, after a while, Han Feng had successfully tried the purple light on various items he could think of, such as his fork, spoon, a glass cup, and many others. After all this, he realized that apart from turning things to jelly, there was no other changes, and the longer the purple light was used, the more the object will be softened. This effect was too useless and could not help him in any way, he thought. But then, he suddenly had an enlightenment. Han Feng thought of mixing 2 kinds of light just like he did with the red light, then he might achieve an unexpected result. Han Feng summoned his green light in his right hand, and with the purple light on the left hand, he tried to forcefully change the texture of his jelly-like spoon, but it resulted in a failure. So he took the kitchen knife and with effort he tried it in a different way. He expanded both light around the entire knife. The results was a success. And not only that, because the kitchen knife didn't just change back to its previous state but was hardened and refined to a degree that it was unbelievably sharp. This surprised him greatly, staring at the items on the table, so he gave it another try. And after several attempts,
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
he had confidently confirmed a theory he thought of. So that's how it is. If the two kinds of light are mixed, they can change the toughness of matter, and the hardness is a bit exaggerated. This new power gave a new idea, a very bold one. Meanwhile, outside his apartment, on the flight of stairs, two homeowners who had recently raided for supplies were discussing whether to hand them over like they're supposed to. The one behind asked curiously, "Hey man, you're not really planning on handing over the looted supplies soon, are you?" "I don't even have enough to eat myself," the other replied. "If we hand them over, they have to share it with the women and the old people." "Why, you're right. But if we do this, we must keep this a secret. Otherwise, we'll be in trouble if anyone finds out." At this moment, the one ahead told the other to look behind him. Puzzled, the other questioned what he was referring to as he curiously turned around. When he did, his expression immediately changed, with his flashlight illuminating the entire area. The thick, concrete wall behind them was sort of moving, and this could be easily spotted as the 18th floor written on it was moving as well. The wall is creeping?" he said. Suddenly, a human face appeared on it, and as the form became clearer, it came really close, about a breath away, from the frightened homeowner, who was about seconds away from wetting his pants. The figure took the shape of a ghostly figure. "There is a ghost on this floor." Scared, the two simultaneously said this, shaking profusely, and immediately made a run for it with their supplies.
If you liked this episode, then don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. The next episode of this manhwa will be released once this part reaches 1,000 views or 5 comments requesting the next part.
On the other hand, the supposed ghost on the wall was struggling to free itself because it was finding it hard to breathe. On the other side of the wall was Han Fong, who was struggling to get a grip on hardening the wall. Due to the size of the wall, he was finding it difficult to merge the two light together. When he finally succeeded in covering the entire section of the wall with the two light, they fused together naturally. Then after a few seconds of mixing both lights with the jelly wall, it hardened immediately after completion. Han Fong was worn out, panting like he'd run a marathon. His next step was to test its durability. So he took out a long mallet, thinking that it was time to check the results of the hardening. Han Fong raised his long heavy hammer, and with a fierce determination in his eyes, he struck the huge hammer on the wall. He then continued to repeat the process over, and over, and over again as the sounds echoed through the heavy snowstorm outside. A while later, exhausted and with his trembling hands, laughed in joy. The results were promising, because after he had constantly beaten the wall, not even a piece was broken off. Meanwhile, in the underground parking lot, the guy from earlier brought in the supplies he'd raided. With a nervous smile, he scratched the back of his head and apologized, saying that many homeowners were basically out of food, so these were the only supplies he collected. At that moment, someone grabbed his shoulder, surprising him, and before he could get a word out, he was forcefully pinned to the ground. The person behind this action was none other than Jin Chin Wen.
Hey, quick fact. 97% of you watching aren't subscribed. If you're enjoying the content, hit that subscribe button. It's free, helps the channel grow, and keeps you in the loop. Thanks for your support.